Foglight for MySQL is part of the database's dashboard, alongside other monitored database types in your setup. Similar to other tools, you can filter the database list by type and severity level. It shows essential details, alarms, and metrics about host utilization. For more insights, clicking the eye icon opens the quick view with additional key data. And if you click on the database name, you can drill down to further information into the MySQL Server view for detailed analysis. When you install the MySQL cartridge, there are a number of base MySQL dashboards available to use. Databases, MySQL Global View, which isn't really used anymore in lieu of the main Global View dashboard under the databases navigation, MySQL Galera clusters, Server Overview, Server Metrics, Tables, Connections, Block Transactions, Statements, Configuration, Administration Panel, and Replication Data. There's also a SQL PI dashboard available separately with an additional license. We will discuss this area and how to add MySQL PI to your MySQL agent in a separate video. You can dive deeper into these dashboards to get more detailed information. Extra data is also collected that doesn't show up on these main dashboards. If you want to see all of that extra information, Foglight makes it easy for you to create custom dashboards by just dragging and dropping what you need. The MySQL Global View dashboard presents detailed metrics for each deployed MySQL agent instance. Instance group has a health indicator which shows the overall health status, the name which is the instance name entered during the MySQL agent creation, the host which is the host name of the MySQL agent instance, and the MySQL version which is the version of the monitored MySQL database. The alarms group has the count of the fatal, critical, and warning alarms. The query cache group has a hit ratio, which is the historical trend and current value of the query cache hit ratio, and queries, which is the historical trend and current count of SQL statements in the cache. Thread pool group has hit ratio, which is the historical trend and current ratio of threads used from the pool to total connections, and threads running, which is the historical trend and current count of active threads. InnoDB buffer pool has hit ratio, which is historical trend and current value of InnoDB buffer pool hit ratio. The dashboard features interactive capabilities. Dwell capability, you can hover over metrics to view graphical trends over specified time ranges, and drill down, which you can click on metrics to access additional detailed information. This dashboard serves as a comprehensive tool for monitoring MySQL instances, providing both snapshot views and detailed insights into performance metrics. The Query Insights dashboard displays the top queries from all the monitored databases, including their main metrics, the estimated impact percentage on the instance, showing how much of the workload they contribute in the selected time frame. You can filter and sort queries by domain, SQL text, and related metrics. When you select a query, the Details panel on the right focuses on that query. Clicking the Investigate button takes you to the corresponding page in the cartridge dashboards, where you can explore all the collected information specific to that category. The Galera Clusters dashboard shows all the Galera clusters that are being monitored in your environment. On the left-hand side, there's a table listing each Galera cluster along with its current state and health status, which indicates the percentage of monitored Galera nodes collected to this cluster. When you select a specific cluster, the panel on the right displays a summary of that cluster. This includes a health indicator with a time plot that can be expanded for more details, the count of the running monitored nodes, and details of the cluster membership changes within the selected time frame, and a list of all the nodes belonging to that cluster. Additionally, the nodes table provides information on each monitored node within the cluster. This includes their current state, queue sizes, write set counts, latency measures, and any conflict details that are being tracked. The Galera node page displays specific Galera-related details for a MySQL server set up as a Galera node. It provides the current status of the Galera nodes along with important server variables, performance metrics for write sets, flow control, latency, transactions, and replicated data size. At the top right, there's a summary of the Galera cluster to which the node belongs. It shows the total number of collected and monitored nodes in the cluster, listing each node alongside its current state. Clicking on a different node's name updates the page to display the detailed information about the selected node. Here's an overview of what you find on the SQL Overview page for your MySQL server: availability, performance, storage metrics, and the top 10 alarms and SQL statements. On the right side, there's an expandable summary box that shows either the top 10 SQL statements executed during the current time range, sorted by various metrics, or the top 10 active alarms specific to this server. You can easily order the SQL statements using the drop-down box for metrics. At the top left, there's a link showing the number of active advisories. You can switch between the Overview and Advisories pages using this link. Clicking on any advisory listed will open a pop-up displaying the full details of this advisory. Each advisory offers specific information and advice on how to enhance performance, security, or other aspects of the monitored server. You can access the server metrics dashboard either through the navigation panel or by clicking on specific data tables like sorts, query cache, thread pool, buffer pool, or storage engine in the MySQL Server dashboard. When you jump from the MySQL Server dashboard to the Server Metrics dashboard, it automatically opens up the same category tab as the table you clicked on. At the top of the Server Metrics page, you'll see overview boxes that show the current health status and all active alarms for each component of the data agent. If you hover over the health icon or active alarms, you'll get more detailed information related to the state of that component. Here's a breakdown of some of the most popular charts and metrics that you'll find. Connectivity percent shows the likelihood of successfully establishing a new connection. Connection length displays the time taken by MySQL to establish new connections. Connection info counts all the connection attempts to the MySQL server. Max used connection shows the peak number of connections used since the server started. Good key reads indicates reads using table keys, typically suggesting effective indexing. Bad indexing reads shows reads that may indicate inefficient indexing. Modify requests cover operations like writing, updating, or deleting rows. Commit info provides metrics related to transaction commits. Rollback info provides metrics related to transaction rollbacks. Hit-miss rate shows the percentage of hits and misses in the InnoDB buffer pool. Memory allocation displays allocated memory for InnoDB buffer pool and log buffer size. Buffer pool pages breaks down buffer pages by types. Modified pages shows the number of buffer pages being modified. Properties displays InnoDB compression-related variables. Compression by mem page size is compression metrics which are grouped by memory page size. Compression by page size is compression metrics grouped by page size. Queries in queue indicates the number of queries waiting to enter InnoDB. Queries inside InnoDB shows the number of active queries within InnoDB. Rows affected by query type displays the rows affected per second by different query types. Data reads and writes shows physical data reads and writes per second. Insert buffer async IO displays insert buffer asynchronous IO reads and writes per second. Pending normal async IO displays pending normal asynchronous IO reads and writes per second. Mutex info provides information on InnoDB waiting for a mutex. RW locks displays information on InnoDB waiting for read-write locks to be released. OS file I/O indicates the rate of operating system reads, writes, and fsync operations per second. Transactions rate graphs the InnoDB transaction rate over time. Transaction purge lag graphs the transaction purge lag over time. Unflushed percent shows the percentage of InnoDB log buffer not yet flushed to disk. Transaction log data performance shows the rate of writes and waits for transaction log to be flushed to the disk. First table search joins indicates the number of joins on the first table. Bad joins show inefficient joins that don't use keys or indexes. Full range joins displays the number of joins using a range search on a reference table. Key reads show reads or read requests for a key block. Key writes display writes or write requests for key block. Key hit rate indicates the rate of physical reads from a disk compared to requests to read from cache. Key blocks provides a breakdown of key blocks in the key caches. Byte transfer rates displays the number of bytes received and sent per second to and from the network. Cache memory usage breaks down the total cache size into free and used memory. Cache memory blocks shows the total cache blocks broken down into free and used blocks. Hit rate percent indicates the percentage of SQL queries used from the query cache. Statements executed shows the number of SQL statements currently being executed. Statement execution rate displays the number of SQL statements per second currently being executed. Cache I/O activity indicates statements added to the cache, existing in the cache, and dropped from the cache. Queries not cached shows the number of non-cached queries. Sort buffer size displays the buffer size each thread needs to allocate for sorting. Row sort rate indicates the number of rows being sorted per second. Sorting rates breaks down the sorting rates per second by type of sort. Hit rate percent indicates the percentage of threads used from the pool compared to the total number of connections made. Threads created rate shows the number of new threads created per second. Thread pool cache displays the number of threads in the thread pool and currently open connections. Active threads indicates the number of currently open connections and active threads. The tables dashboard gives you detailed information about your tables in your monitored MySQL instance. In the databases table, you'll find metrics like growth rate, counts of tables and indexes, and their sizes. If basic table monitoring is on, you'll see a simpler version of this dashboard with navigation between different collection samples. For each MySQL agent instance deployed, the tables table shows these metrics in a row format. Select a button, you pick a table to see the graphs below. Health indicator is the overall health of the instance. Table count is the number of tables. Indexes is the number of indexes. Rows is the number of rows. Average row length is the average length of the rows. Used and free space percentages. Used megabytes and free megabytes is the megabytes used and free. Total size megabytes is the total size in megabytes. And auto extend is the increment size for auto extending tables. Graphs below show details for the selected table. Row count graphs the number of rows over time. Space used compares use space versus total size. Growth rate tracks changes in table size. And locks held or requested shows current locks held or requested. The Connections page features graphs displaying important connection metrics, along with 3 tabs providing additional details. Current Connections displays the MySQL process list captured at the last sampling. Failed Logins lists the hosts that attempted failed logins during the selected time range, including error counts for each type of connection error. And Users. This shows a roster of the MySQL users, their privileges, current connection status, and the total connections made within the selected time range. The MySQL Statements dashboard is accessible for MySQL 5.6.5 and higher servers with the performance_schema engine enabled. The Statements dashboard and menu item, however, is hidden when the MySQL PI extension is enabled on the agent. Statement digests represent normalized statements that share the same execution plan. Even if the actual values in the statements differ, the server performs identical operations, allowing for aggregation and analysis. The dashboard's main time plot shows the top X statements based on various selectable metrics from a drop-down menu. Below this, several graphs help to correlate statement performance, aiding in understanding their impact on the system. The lower section of the page features a table listing all statement digests collected from the server. The number of statement digests maintained by the server varies by version and is governed by performance_schema_digests_size. Excess digests beyond this limit are aggregated into a single digest. All statistics in the first table represent aggregated values for the selected time range, except for first last seen and min-max wait time. By default, the table filters out statements executed on the state system databases, like MySQL performance_schema and information_schema. This filter can be removed by clicking the X in the filter text box. Selecting a row in this table updates the lower section with the detailed graphs related to that specific agent. In the right-hand panel, page actions include the MySQL agent selector and an option to delete old statements. When the MySQL server restarts or the performance_schema statements digest table is truncated, digest statistics reset. Previously collected statements that are executed again are merged with existing historical data in Foglight. Statements that are never executed again become inactive objects, and the delete old statements action removes them and their history from the FMS for maintenance purposes. The configuration page monitors the MySQL server's configuration. It features a metric indicator and a graph showing the count of changes over the selected time range. The table lists every server variable, including its initial and final values during the selected time range, and the date of the last modifications since monitoring began, and a history of changes for that variable. When you select a variable, the left panel displays a history of changes to that variable, covering the period for which the data is retained. The InnoDB cluster page is accessible from MySQL servers that are part of an InnoDB cluster. It provides a summary of the cluster, listing its members, and offers details on channels, coordinators, and workers for the monitoring MySQL server. You can switch to monitoring a specific MySQL server by clicking its name in the member list. InnoDB cluster monitoring is supported for MySQL versions 5.7 and newer, though some data may not be available for versions below 8.0. It's necessary to enable InnoDB cluster monitoring in the agent properties for full functionality. The MySQL administration panel allows permitted users to execute server operations directly from the console. Currently, it offers basic functionalities with plans for expansion in future versions. To perform an action, users click on the relevant category icon, which opens a dialog menu displaying options and confirming the requested action. Each action applies to one server at a time, and you can switch the active server using the MySQL agent selector in the top right of the pane. Only agents with administration enabled are displayed. Below, the administration log records all the actions executed within a specific time range for auditing purposes. It logs details such as timestamp, the Foglight user who initiated the action, the database user used, the SQL statement executed, execution time, results if any, and if any SQL exceptions or warnings were encountered. There are some prerequisites for using administrative actions. The agent properties configuration. Ensure that the enable administration is set to true in the agent properties of the MySQL server's monitoring agent. Database user credentials, also in the agent properties, provide a database user and password with sufficient privileges to execute actions through the administration panel. This user should be dedicated solely to performing the requested actions, not for data collection or for other purposes. And Foglight user permissions. A Foglight user must have the MySQL administrator role granted to them in the Administration, Users and Security dashboard to access and utilize the administration panel effectively. The replication data page provides comprehensive data on MySQL replication gathered by a single MySQL agent, with its content adjusting based on enabled collections. While primarily intended to showcase data collected by the agent, it can also serve for straightforward master-slave replication setups. For more intricate configurations, elements from this page can be integrated into other dashboards as needed.